Heather, I don't think we've ever talked about a movie where there's two cuts of it, and one of the cuts essentially makes it a movie worth watching, and the original cut could be roughly defined as fine for the people who watched it at the time, but if you wanted to enjoy it beyond that, you really had to hunker down the movie, as it were.
This is a first for us on the Kulturecast, and I'm excited. Are you excited about this? Was this a first time for you?
Yeah, I don't even know how this movie showed up. Did you pick this?
Maybe.
I don't remember how this showed up. Like, all of a sudden, it was just Eyes of Fire was, I mean, I think you may have, I don't know. Like, there was a recording on the calendar, and, you know, this year being what it's been, I don't remember. So
I might have suggested it to you because because I saw, this was a first watch for me a year or two ago. And I loved it. But I'm with you. I originally saw the theatrical cut. Yeah, we'll get into the differences here in a bit. Oh, hardy listeners. And lucky for you guys, you get to join us on this journey with this amazing fucking movie.
Yeah, so like Heather mentioned on this episode of the Kulturecast, I'm still your host, Chris Stachiw, much to the chagrin of many. And I'm joined all the way by one bodacious babe.
Surf. I like surfs.
Surf ninja Nazis must die. Your friend and mine, all the way from mondoheather.com, Heather Drain.
Hello, everybody. And you know who's more bodacious than me? Chris.
I am one bodacious babe. You're right.
You're one bodacious.
Yeah. And hey, everybody, on this episode of the Kulturecast, we're going to be talking about a 1983 film that just recently got a re-release on Blu-ray that, you know, again, kind of like I mentioned in the opening, kind of changed the movie entirely. We're going to be talking about Avery Crounse's 1983 folk horror film, Eyes of Fire, and the subsequent director's cut, which has a completely different title, Crying Blue or Cry Blue Sky or Crying Blue Sky. I've seen it either way, but I believe it's Cry Blue Sky.
That sounds right. I've seen it both ways too, but yeah. Cry Blue Sky.
What are you bringing it here for?
It was a time of witchcraft, of hangings, of horror, of magic. They were outcasts on a desperate voyage to the promised land. What they found was a terrifying world.
Strange land.
Lost in a forest far from home, in a valley none would enter.
That tree says that this valley is where the lost blood gathers. It's the home of the devil.
The secret is sleeping in the trees. fire, the secret is sleeping in the trees.
I don't know, Chris, if you ever got to see the like VHS art for this, like either online or maybe as like a kid in the video store, because this was one of those films that for the longest time it had VHS release, but then it was out of print for years and years. And I adore the original VHS art. And it kind of, because to me, it kind of sums up this film is such a beast unto itself. Like it's very much like not quite like anything else you see.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, for me,
at the time, I mean, I would say that there are a lot of things now that owe this a pretty big debt of gratitude. Robert Eggers' The Witch, I think, comes to mind.
Oh, you mean the
Witch? Yeah, the Witch. Yeah,
the bodacious maid,
the bodacious bitches. Yeah, no, the Witch, I think, owes this movie a pretty large debt of gratitude in a lot of ways. I have not seen another movie like this one other than The Witch. And I think for me, this movie is weird because it's barely a movie in a lot of ways. Like I would say barely a movie, but the plot is so incidental, it feels like, in a lot of ways. And the movie most of the time isn't really interested in explaining the narrative. It's more or less you're just following these people as the story happens. So it's kind of an interesting way of telling the story. I think obviously having it framed in flashback is obviously something that, having read reviews about the movie and my own personal feelings, like, oh, well, there are no stakes now because we know outcome and who is telling the story, and that answers some kind of questions out of the gate. But I enjoyed this movie for what it is, but it is hard for me to like the original cut of the movie a whole lot because it's a mess. And it's a mess that they tried to fix in ways that made it worse. Clearly made it worse. Like, made it so much worse that not only do I think pretty much the general consensus online is watch the original and then watch the Cry Blue Sky version. And I think most people would even contend there's not a reason to watch the original cut anymore because the Cry Blue Sky version is the director's intent.
Right. Which I kind of, I really wish that Severin, which created God Bless Severin, because they're the ones that remastered both versions of the films.
Right.
Like we got 4K with Eyes of Fire, and we got a 2K of Cry Blue Sky. So I mean, and Severin do beautiful work anyways. But I kind of wish that the Cry Blue Sky cut was released on its own as the proper director's cut, because that's really what it is from what I can. Right. I mean, if you're saying director's intent, that's basically, to me, sounds like, yeah, this is director's cut. And yeah, there's really no going back, because my first experience, like I said, was the theatrical cut, which is like the Eyes of Fire cut, and that floored me. And especially because Krauts, for anybody that, a lot of people might not realize this, he, before going into filmmaking, was a very much like respected photographer.
Right.
And visual artist.
Which, like, if you can't tell that by just watching this movie, it's like, I don't know, like, it's like Cindy Sherman's Office Killer. It's that same thing. It's like, clearly the person making this movie has an eye for shot composition outside of the film and the moving picture aspect of the movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, his visual language. And to me, that's one of the things, one of the biggest things that makes this film so just mesmerizing and unforgettable is, in fact, he even, I know, like, there was later on like an award, like a filmmaking award, don't know who put it out, called the Avery Krauts Award. And part of that description of the word is for a film that is more than just telling a story, but is akin to almost like a visual poem. And I think in a lot of ways that makes sense. Eyes of Fire, or Cry Blue Sky, either one, it's definitely a visual poem. But once you see the original cut, and that's why we're launching already into this like hard, is because once you see the original cut, it's mind blowing, like how dodgy the choices made in the Eyes of Fire cut really are. I won't say that's going to ruin it. Like, I mean, if that's the only cut you can get, I know Eyes of Fire's on Shudder. I mean, please still watch it. There's like so many great things that we're about to go into. We'll go into further detail about individually with the movie. But if you cannot emphasize enough, because I'm trying to save myself because I almost immediately want to tirade about the ending. Because the ending's the biggest kerfluffle for me. But Avery Crown's just like this amazing guy from Paducah, Kentucky. And I think it's important to note that he was Southern because this film was shot in Missouri. And that region of Missouri, which is basically like the Ozarks, which is also the region that I live in, and I'm from in Arkansas.
Which is the region that I went to college in out of high school in Columbia. It's like an hour from the Ozarks.
Which is such a small world.
But that's what I love about this movie is I could have told you where it was filmed is what I felt like. Like it just looks like the Ozarks. Like it doesn't look like the Northeast. Like
no, but
which is where it's supposed to be, I guess. Like I guess, right? Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there were settlers. I mean, this region definitely has a lot of person. I don't know.
No, it's like, I guess it's supposed to be the frontier, but what does that mean? Like,
it's a little nebulous.
Well, yeah, because the Shawnee Indians were Ohio, Illinois, Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania. So, like, I don't know. I just assumed it was the Northeast, but yeah, it looked like the Ozarks to me.
Oh, yeah, if you know that, because I remember when I first watched it, before I even watched any supplements and knew any of the details, I was like, gosh, this looks familiar, this region. But the reason I love that is the Ozarks, it is a gorgeous region for nature, but there is legitimately kind of a strangeness to me. There's a vibe, there's an atmosphere. I think at different parts of the American South in general, but non-Southern filmmakers, when they try to shoot anything in the South, it's always just ends up being like, somebody spilled like a pig and drink a Pepper's moonshine. And, it's just like, it's automatically the obvious. And, but the filmmakers, especially with horror, that really get it right, whether it's like Tobe Hooper or S.F. Brownrigg and now Avery Crown's, like they nail that atmosphere. Like this film, like
the fuzziness of it all.
The match, like the beauty, the eeriness.
It's like fuzzy. Do you know what I mean? Like there's like that weird glow to the light.
Like a haze. Almost like a haze. Yeah, totally. Like, which is also a very humid region. So it tracks that the locale alone. And I think the cast, like, cause he does the thing that my favorite directors always do, which is he casts people that are not only great actors, but visually have a presence too. Like I find not all actors have a strong visual presence. I know that sounds weird, but I mean, certain actors, to me, like Brad Pitt doesn't have a strong presence unless he's playing somebody that isn't Brad Pitt.
Right.
And he's forced to do that. But some actors naturally just have that and just have a great face that just isn't like anybody else's. Like nobody in this film looks like anybody else.
No, and this movie has one of the few times I've seen Rob Paulsen in anything live action. Rob Paulsen of like every voice that most people can think of from the 90s in terms of like Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Jimmy Neutron, like a lot. I mean, he was Raphael in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for me specifically.
Oh, wow.
He's like rarely in front of the camera. He's not known as an in front of the camera guy, but yet here he is as a American colonialist. And yeah, to your point, like, yeah, sure, why not? Like,
and he's great, honestly.
Yeah.
I had no idea about his background until I started looking up for this, and I was like, holy shit, that's Pink.
Yeah, because he's like known for being in front of the camera at all. Like, I think this might be the first time I've ever seen him in anything in front of the camera. Because I mean, it'd be like Dan Castellaneta. It's like, I've seen him in more stuff than I've seen Rob Paulsen.
Oh, totally. Yeah, because at least he was on Married with Children.
Yeah, and he was in Arrested Development and a couple other things. Rob Paulsen, like, it was just weird to see him show up. Because I didn't recognize essentially anybody in this movie, which is always a weird thing, but a welcome thing, I guess, for this kind of movie. It kind of helps sell it for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's the thing is that there are key people in the cast that were very successful, like character actors, but that's the beauty of a character actor, and especially a really good one, is they can transform in a way. And like Dennis Lipscomb, who plays Smythe, like Will Smythe, who's like this preacher character who basically gets run out of a village because he is, basically living with a married woman,
right,
while still being a man of God. And so him and his lady. His Scarlet Lady, And her kid, along with some of his followers, end up getting kind of thrown out by all kind of the lynch mob. Though I love like the power play where he's basically like, okay, we're going to have to go, but we will have to abscond. I mean, take.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought literally which is such a great power move. Like you guys, they tried to hang him and he has, which I love, the character Leah. Leah's basically, she's literally, we find out later on, a fairy.
Yeah, she's like a wood nymph, right? Like
this beautiful Irish, just redhead. Carleen Carlton is the actress. And what's weird is I looked her up and she, like, you see pictures of her in other roles. Like she did a lot of TV. And it's like, you can still it's her, but it's strange. It's like, whoa, like, cause she's so good. She's so great as Leah. I mean, she embodies this character. But Leah saves this pastor from being hung. And he's like, his final, like, fuck you to this village is like, we're going to take your goats and your potatoes and your cows
and go live in a valley that we all know is haunted.
Is haunted as hell. It is like which is so great. And nobody, and that's my problem with like, I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit, but I have to do this. I must go with my heart here with like, and I've only seen, in fairness, parts of the witch or the
witch.
Bitch is the evil that Eyes of Fire or Cry Blue Sky, either one, is dealing with isn't the devil. It's not rooted in Judeo-Christianity. It's basically rooted. And in fact, in the original cut, especially, I think one could argue that the film in some ways is almost anti-religion.
Right.
Or at least anti-organized religion. It's basically like mankind. Like where basically where innocent blood has been spilled. All of that energy basically forms a harmful spirit.
Right.
And which is such a great metaphor for like basically what humanity's done to this planet. I mean, you could read it as an ecology thing, especially with global warming.
Right.
You could also just read it. I think it's just, we cannot truly escape the sins of our fathers in this life. And when I say that, I don't mean like I don't even mean it as a gender thing. I don't mean it as a familial thing necessarily, but just, all the fucked up shit that happens in history and planet, it's there. That's a stain. And if we don't learn from it, all of that blood adds up, and it just kind of continues. Except in real life, it's not like an evil forest spirit. It's just like people becoming the problem yet again. And,
right.
And whatever. I mean, that's a cheery topic, but that's such a cool thing. And I appreciate that because it's like, Chris, you've seen The Witch, right?
Yeah.
Is the whole thing basically be like, what is the moral tale? How would you describe it?
I would describe the witch ends up being about the otherness of people, and the female character is being claimed as a witch because of the way that she acts. So it's again the story of like the other is being kind of castigated by the group and then being forced out. And then at the end of the movie, the character who was not a witch gives in to the witches and becomes a witch at the end. So it's like, I don't know what the moral of the story is. Essentially just like never stop being yourself because society will do its best to show and again, like isolate the others. And that's kind of what the witch ends up being about is like this family gets put out of the group and then this girl in the family gets put out of the family because they think that she's a witch with or without proof. So this movie's message is a little different. I think this movie's message is a little bit more timely and a little less explained outright.
Which I appreciate.
This movie doesn't explain much of anything.
But that's okay. Like, I like that.
It lets you know. It lets you know what the kind of framework of the world is in terms of how the thing that they're going to interact with later in the movie more or less came into being. That's what the movie tells you. But other than that, the movie doesn't say much about what the practical effect roaming the woods is.
Yes. But I love that because to me, like with horror, I think horror is always its best when it's a little more like, hey, we talk about the haze, it's a little more hazy because personally, the unknown is always going to be the most scary.
Right.
In a lot of ways. But it's also like, to me, that's kind of true to life because who has all the answers in real life? for anything, you know, like anybody that tells you they have all the answers to anything, especially if they're in a position of power. But just in general, watch your back, because they're going to be probably a charlatan at worst and at best misguided. But so I personally, I love that. I also think it's like respectful to the audience. Like if you explain everything to your audience, you're treating them like they're dumb children, not even like smart children, like you're,
right.
And I mean, because kids are smart, like just don't, give people the benefit of it. And
Right.
And it's not, if somebody wants everything explained to them, that's fine. But, go. But I don't think most people are that stupid, like I'm not so cynical. I'm sure there's a handful of people that do really just want things overly simplified, and that's fine too. Like to each his or her own. But like, I love that. And it is it is like a poem. This whole thing is sort of like a surrealistic tone poem in places. And I love that it's not explained. Yeah. There's something very, I don't know, it's truly a magical movie in the sense of like, and I hate it because now when people say magical, that word gets overused. But I mean, in the sense of just like, there is sort of like when you go on a walk and you see something, nature itself is magic, because just look at the way like certain insects look. They're beautiful and they're otherworldly looking to us. I'm sure we look like total monsters, but and the film captures that. Like whether it's, the nature scenes, like there's a really beautiful shot of a dragonfly at one point, like that's, or even just the way the flowers are presented, the way the sky is presented to, when we do see like the main, like sort of evil spirit of this cursed land, which is intense, and the way that it moves, like it wriggles out of the ground. It's like, it's probably a simple effect, but the way it's done, it makes me think of like when you see like the way people move in like the original Japanese ring, because not like, that wasn't an effect. That was like a dancer that just was able to contort their bodies, but that because of that, it looks more crazy and fucked up. You're like, holy shit, like, what is that? The physicality, I just think is
well, and what's interesting is, again, it's an interesting design. I think the creature's an interesting design, and for what the movie needs it to be, I don't know. For what the movie needed it to be, I don't think it is any more or any less. Like, I think it's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think what's funny is in the original cut of the movie, God, they overuse it. And like, what's wild to me is like when they overuse it, it's really easy to tell the quality of it. But when it's used more sparingly, like in the director's cut, I think it works better because it's like the shark in Jaws. Like if I see it constantly, it's going to just start to look cheap. But when you're lighting it a certain way, when you're focusing on other things in the scene and not it, I think it works better than, and again, I think that's because the original cut of the movie is just in every single way an inferior film. And not worth, again, only worth watching if you're a completionist, but nothing about the original cut of the movie is better than the director's cut, because the director's cut actually understands how to use those supernatural elements that the movie introduces. And the original movie just overdoes it constantly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like to quote Henry Chinaski, obviousness. And especially, because that's the thing that fried my brain going back to the theatrical cut after watching the director's cut was just, it's almost like, it'd be like going back to dial-up after you have cable modem or something. It's like, you're like, oh no, like why, because the beauty and the full power of it. So to see it tampered with just seems a little obscene. And granted, I'll say this objectively, is it the worst case of studio tampering I've seen in a movie? No, far from it. Because it's still, the strengths are still there. And again, like to anybody listening that's curious to watch it, if your most easily readable, accessible copy is the main one, please still watch it. Because there's still like Crowns, who we just lost earlier this year. Such a powerful artist. And plus the performances, I think especially Carleen Carlton, but also Dennis Lipscomb as Will Smythe, which oh my gosh, I love his Smythe. I'll get into that in a second. But, do still watch it, but But only if that's the only one you have easily accessible. Otherwise, and honestly, I mean, it's a bonus feature that the director's cut is on the Severin disc. Like whether you get it solo or in the full the full horror box. So you know what you guys got to do. Come on, you want the sweet stuff. You want the director's cut, as we all should with anything. But yeah, no, with the original cut, like it's so much more intelligent the way like both the Supernatural's approach, but also the framing. Because even though like the voiceovers throughout in both cuts, in the original, like the theatrical cut, I mean, like we don't have the preamble in the beginning. It's just straight into the story.
Right.
And it's not even fully revealed like where Fanny and two of the other girls are at until the very end. Like there is still like some mystery, but also they completely, oh my God, this hurts my brain so much what they did. Redoing it. Cause like in the theatrical cut, they're talking to like these French sort of colonial.
How you say in the valley, the haunted valley, like the fakiest French people. How you say that?
It is more subtle than John Cleese and Holy Grail, but not by much. I'm surprised they didn't go my outrageous French accent. You know?
Tell me what is this haunted valley you speak of?
Yeah. Yeah,
no. Like, what the fuck is this? Like,
yeah, was the actor told French asshole? Go for French asshole.
Yeah. It's like the moment that character showed up on screen, I was like, well, is this supposed to be a joke? Like the accent is such a put on.
Oh, and the worst part though is the and I hate this shit. I hate it when movies do this because it was a trope even in the 80s, and now it's like beyond the tropiest of tropes. But you know, the soldier, the little guardsman comes up to escort the girls, and he steps into a key light that hits his eyes, and he's got the devil yellow this evil's forest spirit, and that's how it ends. And I'm like, really? Like this?
That worked one time, didn't it, in Thriller, and that was it?
Oh my God, it way better in Thriller. Because honestly,
it's the Thriller eyes, isn't it? Like that's what I thought that was. That in the original cut of the movie, the theatrical cut of the movie, it's literally Thriller eyes.
It does make you think of Thriller. When Cry Blue Sky does that. But again, like you pointed out, it's because it's used so sparingly, but we also never see it on a human person.
Right.
Which makes all the difference.
In the Cry Blue Sky version, it still shows the little kid with the eyes.
Yeah, but the little kid's got the fucked up face with the eyes. Like, it's not normal.
That eye effect does not look good.
I don't know. It freaks me out. You know,
we saw an effect similar in Twilight Zone 1985 in an episode segment, and I think it works better here, but it only works better here because it's not focused on as long.
It's used sparingly, but just enough for you to be like, what the? Right. Whereas, like, yeah, that ending, and seeing the original ending, what Krauts had was so much better because they're talking to a priest, and the room that they're talking to, like they're telling the story of this priest, almost looks like a set out of Ken Russell's The Devils.
Yeah,
like a Derek Jarman set where it's bone white, like angles, and yet he and the girls are all in like almost like, especially the priest is in like the blackest of black robes. Like this is the goth robe.
Right.
Like you could buy this priest robe on Killstar or Vampire, Freaks or something. It is so goth. And there's no like, oh, it's the devil, it's nothing like that. Like it's just like, it's a lot more open-ended. And it's all the better for it because it matches the movie better. It's just, and also it's just smarter. It's not like, oh, look, it's a devil guard, like,
What I didn't understand, so in the original cut of the movie, the family goes to the valley. Essentially everybody dies except for, the sister and the kids. And then they make their way to this French encampment, and then they tell the Frenchmen their story. And then they're led off by a person possessed by Leah, who is not a villain in the movie. But yet the ending is played like she's a villain because isn't she a good witch? Isn't she and that's the thing, like, because then the Cry Blue Sky version essentially is like, yeah, that's what is going on here. She's not a antagonist at all at the end. She is protecting them. That's more or less made clear. But in the original cut or the theatrical cut of the movie, it's like it doesn't even understand the story it told up until that point. It's like she was never antagonistic. It was just misunderstood. But yet at the end of the movie, when they play the thriller scene, it's like, that's meant to be antagonistic. Is it not? Like, is that not the point of having him be yellow-eyed? Because the only other time we've seen anyone yellow-eyed is the tree creature. But we know that the tree creature's power was passed on to her at the end of the theatrical cut. We see that with her eating the frog. So it's just very strange because, like, she's not a villain. So what are you doing, movie? Are you confused?
Well, you know what's interesting? Because my read of that was that Leah was still a guardian because, like, the little girl gets a flower and they show her face, Leah's face in the fire with the little girl. And the little girl's like, oh, we're not alone. We have Leah. And then you see the guardsman with the eyes. And to me,
the guard is the devil. That's
the
not
guard
her.
is the devil. It's like it's almost like sequel bait. It's very sequel.
But even worse then.
I know. But I think the fact that there was confusion is just further testament that this was a half-ass ending. It was not the original vision.
Terrible.
Yeah. And it's so disappointing because the movie's so good. Like, this is a great movie. And the original cut is great. Like, the original cut is so good. And like, it's so to have like this half-ass sequel bait, like jump scare on something that is so poetic and intelligent and lovely just feels like it's like drawing a dog on a painting by Paul Klee or something.
It's like that scene in the Bean movie where he paints the face on the painting of Whistler's mother. And it's like Whistler's mother with then like a fucking like giant nosed cartoon character. And what are you doing? Well, the crazy thing ultimately is this is an art house movie. This is barely even a horror movie. I wouldn't even classify it as a horror. It is a folk movie with horror elements. The actual cut of the movie. The actual cut of the movie has less horror stuff than the original does. However, for whatever reason, the theatrical cut tries to make it into this like actual horror movie of the 83 variety. And it really is just like a complete misunderstanding of what Avery Krauss was trying to do. And I can't imagine being him for as long as he lived, having to deal with the movie being as bad as it was, knowing what I intended this to be, because it is a fucking far cry. This isn't some Ridley Scott, well, Deckard is a fucking, replicant shit. That's not this. This is literally the movie is being changed so substantively that it is a completely different movie. Yes, they used the same scenes and a lot of the same footage is there, but the way that it's used and the way that it's cut and all of the surrounding things that hold it in place are so much firmer than they are in the theatrical cut, which feels very shaky in terms of what the theme of the movie is.
Yeah. Well, and it also, to me, weakens the whole, like, because one of the things that I find really fascinating is how and I mean, whether or not this was a strong intention, I would gather yes, but I could see, we don't have Avery Krauss with us, obviously, to ask, but that whole feeling is kind of weakened in the Eyes of Fire cut, because in the original cut, like, you have, figures of Will Smythe who, is kind of a shit. He's arrogant, but he has good traits. And that's the other thing, actually, I really love about this movie real quick is that I don't think there's any real human villains. I mean, I think the Lynch Mob are pretty fucking close, but they're still people. Like, everybody's a person in this universe. Some are better than others. But again, to me, that's true to life. Like, very few people in life, are 100% one way or the other.
Right.
we all have shades of gray somewhere. But and to me, Dennis Lipscomb, especially in this film, like, I love his performance of Smythe because he does have that mix. Like, he portrays it so well, but also he has such a great face. Like, to me, he looks like, more so maybe than anybody else to cast, like, he could be from a silent movie. Like, he's got that kind of like silent film actor face that's just like kind of beautiful and a little strange. And like, every time he's on screen, like, I don't know, Krauss obviously, I think, recognizes that because I think Smythe, I think in some ways the two characters that are shot, are filmed to the best and to the most ability is him and Leia. Or Leia even. This isn't Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Fran Ryan, who has like one of the funniest lines in the movie where she's just like crowing is the...
Oh my gosh.
Like, oh,
I know, but she's a killing character actress because
such a strange line reading that I can't believe it actually made it into both cuts of the movie.
It was because the first time I saw this, I kept being like, where do I know her from? And then I looked at her IMDb and I was like, oh God, yeah, everything. Like for me, probably growing up watching Night Court because she was on a few episodes of Night Court, but she's like been in every like great character actress. But I feel like both Carleen Carlton's like face because she doesn't really look like anybody else either. Like nobody in this cast really does, but she especially, and Dennis Lipscomb. Like, you know, and that whole pairing is fascinating too, of just the characters, because Smythe is like, you know, rescued this little sort of wild, you know, like Irish girl whose mother was burned to death. And Leia isn't, you know, nobody calls her a witch until like towards the end, but she's got like, obviously like kind of displays certain powers very early on. I mean, she saves his life. But what's kind of cute is she's always shown, and it's like the sort of like innocent, like just, she is like this innocent spirit, like the way she interacts with the kids, how protective she is, just her physicality. Like at one point, and it's such a little shot, but it's so silly, but it always makes me laugh when she she kind of like lurches out of the water naked and scares, who ends up being, you know, the actual father of the daughter that's narrating it, the one who's white, who's white, it's avoiding with Marion, played by Guy Boyd. And she scares him, but even he starts laughing because it's so silly. Like, and he's a really, God, I didn't even mention him until now. I think he's really great as Marion. He's got that great kind of rugged character actor, like stoic, masculine man. And
it's the eyes.
It's the eyes. It's the beard. It's, I do love the fact that like he could speak a little bit of Shawnee and he's protective of the Indians. Like,
that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is that scene, because again, like we're given very little context while it's happening as to what's going on. And you learn about it after the fact, but it's such the way it's shot, what he's doing with that like get up with the branches on top of his head, like, and then those French dudes just get murdered. Is all, I mean, it's fantastic. I think that's probably my favorite scene in the entire movie.
Oh, it's so good. Well, especially because he's got the Indians laughing, and Jules, who I believe is Paulson's character, asks like, why were they, you know, what were they laughing at? And it's like, you know, oh, they asked me about my wife, so I told them the truth. And then he kind of looks at her and smiles.
So I love that the character that is doing the extramarital cavorting is, you know, the pastor, as it were.
Yeah.
Because again, like I wonder, at least for you, like what is the point of the character in the movie? What is the point of his character in them? Because if you, the way I look at this movie is like Avery Krauts is trying to make several points with this movie, or at least kind of open a discussion. And like, what does it say that he's a man of the cloth who's effectively rejected part of that?
Because we never find out what sect he's a part of. Like, he's very educated, and in fact, a detail that is, I believe, missing in Eyes of Fire, but in The Cry Blue Sky, Jules, because that's the thing, Jules is very loyal to Smythe, and when Marion's trying to ask him, Jules basically, you know, you find out Smythe taught him how to read.
Right.
Yeah, he taught him, you know, how to read, and taught him about, like, you know, astronomy a little bit, and you know, and that's the thing, like, Smythe isn't necessarily a big villain. And I also love the fact that the wife isn't really, they don't go for an extra moral approach towards her either. It's not like, oh, how dare she? It's like she says something to Marion about just like he was too gruff and he wasn't there.
Right.
But he wasn't. And
he wasn't there at the beginning of the movie. I mean, you don't see, he's not there until like, you know, a quarter of the way into the movie, really. Yeah. Like,
and it's not making excuses for anything, but again, it's like, these are humans, you know, and these are also like extra hard circumstances. I mean, these are people trying to start a new life in a foreign land, you know, and you have to take that into account either. And with so I don't know with the whole thing, what I find the film seems to be more damning of him, and this is maybe just my take, is his arrogance.
Right.
And because it's like more and more, and he seems to slip more and more, because initially it's kind of like, okay, he's a little full of himself, but he seems like, he's teaching people how to read.
He's lazy, right?
He's very lazy. Like the women are doing, like his lover or, pseudo wife, I guess. It's like, she's kind of like having to dig and till the soil and all this while he's just like there being like, oh, it's God's land.
Caress each seed.
Yeah. And so, he's lazy. He's arrogant. Anything that happens that he's like, oh, this is, this is God. I'm right. And it's like, when things are clearly going to shit, he is in disbelief. Like his ego is so tied to spirituality, but not even to real spirituality. It's tied to being right. It's tied to just good old human folly and arrogant. And to me, I think that's where like the criticism of organized religion comes. Like, I feel like the extramarital stuff's almost like not an afterthought, but I feel like the real thing that damns him is his hubris.
I would also say it also cuts to the idea of the hypocrisy of people in religion saying one thing and doing another. Oh, because I'm not sure what sect of religion would have approved of what he's doing at the time. None sect of religion, I would assume.
The Church of that booty.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. Well, to be fair though, isn't the joke that all the sexually repressed people came over to this country? Like that was the whole point.
Oh, yeah, we got all the extremists.
Yeah, I mean, all the Protestants, right?
All the Puritans. We got all the Puritans.
Yeah.
We're even more repressed than the Catholics.
Yeah, so, I mean, these people are that. So, like, in a lot of ways. Like, and that's what it's like, I think there's also a condemnation of the hypocrisy of, the saying of one thing and doing another. Because, in 83, I mean, that was going on in the church, obviously.
Oh, fuck.
Has been forever, so.
Oh, my God. No, I love that point, Chris. Holy shit. No, you just tapped into something. Because think about it, like Reagan era, that's when we're dealing with, I mean, not that anything's really changed, obviously, which is depressing. Like, nothing's changed. But that's where you really did get the huge prominence of the huge extreme conservatism, and especially tied to televangelism and, Protestant, mostly Baptist religion. And,
right.
That's brilliant, dude. I love that. And especially because the original cut, the figure we get is a priest, who's just sort of just like not really helpful. Like he's not, and again, it's not like, and it's same with neither one of these guys are like the fucking devil or anything. They're still men. Like, yeah, right. But at the same time, because of them being attached to these things that are riddled with a lot of issues and a lot of just, arrogance. Because it's like, well, I know God's way. Well, how do you know?
God brought this little Indian girl to be so that we could bring her to God.
Yeah. And meanwhile, he doesn't listen, doesn't even pay attention to Leah, who's clearly spooked. It's like, okay, the woman who literally has magical powers and saved your ass when you're about to be hung, you're not going to listen to her? But it's like, oh no, this is God. It's like, she has a better line to God than you do. Like, come on.
And I will say in terms of the character destinations or where they end up in the theatrical cut, it's, I don't know. I found the last act of the theatrical cut to be a rough watch. I mean, it's nonsensical in terms of what they're going for. I think the Cry Blue Sky version works better, but I think they're still having to put a certain puzzle together. They're just trying to put it together in a better way. But I think the third act of this movie is still kind of hit or miss in certain spots, and a lot more misses than hits, frankly.
Oh, wow. See, I
just don't think that they have a good resolution for the characters, because it seems, even when they give it more time, it still seems a little rushed for the amount of time we spent with these characters. Like the character of Marion, the way his character story is kind of settled and handled is very odd. Is it not?
Yeah, it is, but I guess
he's the main character of the movie, right? I guess, like, maybe?
Kind of. I mean, in a way, I don't think, ultimately, I guess maybe Fanny is really the main character because she's our narrator.
Right.
Which I feel bad for not even mentioning, Sally Klein, that actress. And she's great. Honestly, she's great and very likable. And like, this is a rare film where I don't mind kids in a
Right.
movie.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah. All the kids. Of course, she's on the older end because she's probably like late teens, but, she's great. The little girls are great. Like, and usually like putting kids in a movie, I'm like, oh, okay. It's going to end up being like a Kenny thing, like in Gamera. Like, nobody wants to be a Kenny. I don't want to see a Kenny, unless Gamera's going to eat them.
Right, exactly.
Which would be amazing. But, yeah, when you say that, do you mean with just the fact that like, we don't really find out what happens to Marion?
It's just the way that it's handled is so strange. It's like they tried to cut around the way that they did it in the theatrical cut, and they kind of just cut so much out that it's hard to tell what happened.
Oh, in the theatrical cut, yes. Agreed. Yeah, and also, in the theatrical cut, they put in little extra effects too. Cause like, even like the scene where like they, when they're on like the little like ferry and they get attacked by the Indians.
Right.
Like, first of all, they cut it. There's a different cut to make it look like Leah has like enough of a premonition of Calvin, who's like the elder gentleman, getting killed by an arrow, but which you don't see her having that premonition in Cry Blue Sky. And it makes sense why she doesn't, because in the Eyes of Fire cut, she has it literally right before it happens. So it's like a premonition that does nobody anything.
What does it matter at all?
Right. But then like when she kind of fans out her dress to protect the rest of the family, they put this like weird kind of blur effect in the Eyes of Fire cut, which you don't see in Cry Blue Sky. And I prefer it not having that extra effect. It's like, we get it. We're not stupid. We don't need the extra like, wubba wubba.
Right.
To quote downtown Julie Brown on that. And as far as like, I guess I was okay with the not theatrical, but with Cry Blue Sky as far as the ending. But because to me, certain elements just, like with her eating the frog, and then like we see kind of the spirits freed.
Right.
It's like, which this is full core, so that makes sense, but it's very fairy tale. It's very fairy tale. But also which
leads to things not being explained.
Exactly. Well, everything, even like a lot of religious parables. I mean, there are things, all religions that don't really make sense unless you're the believer.
Right.
I mean, or even if you are, like, I remember being a little kid and one of my relatives who, wasn't the warmest or, non-toxic person in the world, very religious. But even they were like mentioning there's like a section of the Bible that talks about giants. Even they were like, what does that mean? Like, sorry, you know what I mean? It's like
literally question mark?
Like literal giants. But it's I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just, it's why it's good not to take everything literally, maybe. It's parables for reasons, I guess. But
right.
I loved sort of the whimsy of it. I mean, could it have been longer? Actually, yeah. But I wouldn't have minded that because to me, I love the movie. It's like...
No, I would have preferred there a little bit more just to give... Again, because I think for me, there's no point in watching the original cut of the movie or the theatrical cut, the version that everybody saw when it came. I don't think there's a point in watching it. But I do wish that there was even more to this director's cut, because there clearly are a lot of ideas here that could have been further expounded.
Oh, agreed.
I'm glad we live in a universe and a reality where this ends up happening, where we end up getting this director's cut of the movie 20 plus years on.
Oh, goodness. Well, and think about the great timing of it, especially with us just, with Avery Krauts passing away this year. Again, thank goodness for Severin for being able to contact him and to have access to that. Because that was his print. That wasn't like if they hadn't have made that line to him, we wouldn't have that.
Right, exactly.
And that's always kind of the scary thing with film is, especially once artists die, it's like sometimes, things are left in the estates that the estates don't care. And so certain things never do surface, or they're just left to kind of languish. I mean, like, I know we're famously having that problem with Russ Meyer and his prints because of, the people that currently own the rights to it apparently don't give a shit about restorations, and preservation. So when stuff like this, when something does happen that's actually positive, it's feel like companies like Severin and Eero and Vinegar Syndrome and so many others, it's good to see, because gosh, this was a film that for the longest time you could only see as like a from a VHS rip on YouTube that was like not the greatest VHS rip either. Like
Right.
it was not good.
It was kind of like The Devils.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Same deal, right? Like there's 2 cuts of The Devils, right?
Yeah. Well, and another one where it's like, of course, that one's even more anti-organized religion than this.
Sure is.
But, and I'm sorry, every Ken Russell movie should be preserved, restored, and available to the public. Ken Russell, that to get, as much as I preach about religion, art is my religion. I'm like, Ken Russell's the auteur, and his stuff should be like, it is the real obscenity is that like this is a film that's several decades old, and you know we don't have like, I mean, I do have a pseudo director's cut that I bought on the gray market that off of Amazon that I'm sure everybody could get. That's in pretty good. The press really good, but it's like it needs to be restored properly.
Right.
Come on, what the fuck? This is bullshit. It's 2023. Before the world that burns down completely, let us have some respect to our artists.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you know, it is nice that we have this opportunity to watch this version of the movie, because I can completely understand why this movie fell as flat as it did for so many people with that theatrical cut. I mean, the reviews at the time were like, it's a nice looking movie, but like, it's not, I don't know. I feel like people were left wanting, and I was not left as wanting by the Cry Blue Sky version, but I don't think the Cry Blue Sky version is a horror movie the way that Eyes of Fire is. But I think because Eyes of Fire is a horror movie, it does what they did actually shoot and should have had put together for a theatrical cut. It doesn't do it justice, but it's not a horror movie the way that Eyes of Fire is more or less made to be. You know what I mean?
I think it's definitely made to be more of a horror movie.
Right. That's what I mean. Obvious.
Yeah.
Like for the Friday night. Yeah, for the Friday night masses. Like, you know, when I say horror movie, that's what I mean. Like, this is like the expectation was we're going to put it out on a Friday night and get people in the door. But like that was never going to be the case with this movie, no matter how hard you try.
Yeah. I definitely, and I mean, just sort of, and sadly, this is a tale as old as time as far as long as cinema's practically fit a form, is that, you know, you get something that's truly worthwhile and special, but it's left in the hands of money men and people that are like, oh, it's too long. And that's it. I guess that was one of the complaints too, is that the original cut was too long. You and I have that. How long is Cry Blue Sky? Like, it's not even 2 hours.
20 minutes longer.
Yeah. And now people are like, you know, they're like Spider-Man's like, you know, a fucking Fassbender movie as far as length goes.
Right.
But not quality, sadly, because I love Fassbender. Fassbender. No,
Fassbender.
Fassbender. But now,
and if you read the article, and there's an article from like 83 or 86 that talks to Avery Crowns, and he just goes, we changed the ending because the reaction in the theaters was so negative. And it was the original ending was ambiguous. Like, oh, the ambiguousness of what? Like, again, like nothing in this movie seems like it wasn't intentional. So yes, maybe it's ambiguous, but I don't think it's really that ambiguous.
No, but also
I think the actual fucking theatrical cuts ending is more ambiguous than the Cry Blue Sky version. Wouldn't you say? Like, what the actual Cry Blue Sky ending makes more sense in terms of the full narrative, the full story, the entire story makes more sense from start to finish.
Well, and it also, like, the Eyes of Fire ending, to me, it kind of hurts one of the film's biggest powers, is that it takes something where it's clearly, you have a clear, like, the evil is in this forest, and it's because of just all of the bloodshed that's been unnecessary. And especially, I mean, I think it's a slight undercurrent, but it's probably also a lot of how many Indians, because even Marion at one point says this was their land. We're the intruders. You know, of how many Indians needlessly died. I mean, that's a genocide that this country that still doesn't really fully acknowledge like it should. And, you know, and then on top of that, you've got settlers who, a lot of whom were innocent, just trying to make their lives, getting killed too. And it's just like this, you know, but you have that clear evil of just like, this is what we do to each other as a species. And that's awful. And it's not needed. And it's pain and it's hurt. And you take that message and all of a sudden just make it, oh, wait, psych, it's the fucking devil.
Right.
Oh, and it's so
a goopy devil monster.
It's so dumb. And especially on a movie that you know, you nailed it with Art House because this is art. This movie is 100% art, and Avery Krauss is a genius. This is like so many of the ways, like his visualization, his language is so. This was his first film too, like which is crazy because it's so. I mean, right? Talk about like hit the ground running. It's so. It's such a special work, and I think it's a testament to his genius that even this like kind of dodgy theatrical cut that was the VHS cut. This film had a cult following for years, where people were like, "Is this ever going to get a release?" And that's how you know something's good. Is even despite some of the extra flaws added to people, you know, people wanted it to get the proper love and restoration it deserved, and thankfully it has. We can't say that about every movie, unfortunately.
There's just not a lot of stuff like this movie, even still. Like, and I don't know, like when I think about the other kinds of movies like this one, like I said, it's a short list. And I would say that this is up at the top of the list of things on that list worth watching. Because this, I think, is better than most contemporary kinds of movies like this, including The Witch. Only because, again, The Witch's theme is just, it's a little on the nose for me. Like, it's a little on the nose. And, you know, it's not a trauma monster, thank God, which is now like everybody's most popular fucking thing is everything's a trauma monster. Or every monster is trauma in monster form, looking at you, every Babadook. No one can save you. Like, I mean, a lot of these movies, like even Talk to Me is a trauma monster movie, but I think it's the best of those trauma monster movies. I'm so sick of those that seeing something like this that's not that is also so refreshing that I was like, damn, I'm on board with this because it's just something different anyways.
Exactly. No, God, I feel like snapping my fingers. That was brilliantly put. And that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, even though, 80, you know, this came out in 83, there's something about this that feels like an 80s movie. Like it just it is truly, I think kind of like what I was saying in the beginning, like it is its own thing. Cause even things that might kind of took some inspiration from it, they're not like it. Cause even like what I've seen of The Witch, it looks like it's very muted. Visually, like the tones, it's something that I appreciate so much about Krauts is that there's so much color here. And I mean, it's obviously not like Suspiria. It's not like, you know, Argento color, but it's the color of nature. And even when it's something that's a little more earth toned, he really knows how to shoot like earth tones in a way where you see texture and you see, you know, like where it's got so much layers to it. It's not just, you know, it just everything looks visually dynamic. And I don't like it when horror movies, especially set in nature, look flat. Because to me, like film is a visual medium, so you should really take advantage of it.
Unless the intent is to not take advantage of it.
Which is why.
Which is fine, yeah.
Why? Why do that?
Don't ask me. I mean, again, like I get it in theory, but I think in execution, it leaves a lot to be desired.
Unless somebody... And I'm sure maybe, I don't know. It's just always, to me, it's going to be at risk of coming across as really lazy if somebody's not trying at least a little bit, you know, as far as the visual. Also, another thing that's really great, it's more understated, but I really love the score, like the music, yes. Brad Fiedel. I couldn't believe it was Brad Fiedel. I was like, Brad Fiedel from Fright Night? The guy into the score for Fright Night. And also, I found out Terminator 1 and 2.
As well as everybody's favorite overtly anti-Muslim Schwarzenegger film, True Lies.
I didn't.
I like that movie, but it is hard for me to deal with the anti-Muslimness of that movie. And also Tia Carrere, like why anybody ever thought she needed to be in a movie for more than one scene is always going to be a question that I will never have an answer for.
Hey, she's good as Cassandra. Wayne's World. I love Wayne's World. I do love Wayne's World.
Sure. I like Wayne's World. I always forget that she's in it.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know why? You're blinded by Rob Lowe. You're blinded by my beloved Dana Carvey as Guard saying, you know, if Benjamin was his favorite ice cream flavor is pralines and
I do love Dana Carvey. I think there's always room for Dana Carvey at the table.
120%. But no, Fiedel, like, and this score's unlike anything I've heard of his. Like, he's a really good I feel like a little bit, I mean, it's weird to say this about somebody who's obviously successful, but I don't ever hear his name really mentioned a whole lot when people talk about film composers. And I think he's great. I loved his instrumental work in Fright Night. Not to be confused with the Jay Giles band, Fright Night. That's also...
Wow.
But,
Who doesn't love some Jay Giles band? Am I right?
I do. I wouldn't use that song as an example of some of their finest work.
There's only one song worth talking about.
Is it Centerfold?
Yeah, isn't it?
Did you ever hear about people, the misheard lyric of that, where somebody thought it was my anus is the center hole?
Oh, man.
My blood runs cold.
Wow. I think my favorite is still Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza.
Oh,
That's still my favorite. That's so wholesome.
it's almost Tony Danza.
Who wouldn't want to be held close by Tony Danza?
Mona. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I mean, he has a musical career too, Mr. Danza does.
Oh my God, is that legit?
That's real. Yeah, you guys should cover it on Noise Junkies.
I know. We
Music
should have done
podcast.
that. We should do a part
Instead
two.
of clowning on Joe Pesci, you could have talked about
Hey,
Tony Danza.
did I clown on Joe Pesci?
Dancing on Danza.
You know I did not clown on Pesci.
He deserved to be clowned on with how terrible his music is.
Oh my gosh. Tony. Okay, duly noted, by the way, for a future episode.
Tony Danza.
Yeah.
No, what's funny is you mentioned Brad Fidel. I think, when I think about Terminator, I always kind of attribute the theme song of Terminator to James Cameron, which is weird. But James Cameron had a part in making it, so I always forget that there was someone else involved because I just assume James Cameron is a psychopath when it comes to controlling everything, which seems to be the case. But I like the score of this movie a lot. Again, it's exactly what it needs to be.
Exactly. And it's also like, it's dialed down what it needs to be too. Like
Right.
it's very expertly crafted and used. And again, that's another thing you're talking about, like more modern horror. I've probably read about this before in other shows, but sound people, like sound design and especially music, when it's used right, that just hammers the feel of everything so much more. And I think that really does like the case here. So I mean,
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad that we watched this movie because, again, I'm a huge fan of these kinds of things that like, oh, it was just like, there's another version and there's two more versions. And, we did the Blair Witch sequel, I think last year, the year before, and that was similar to this. And like, there's an original cut and then there's like the Berlinger cut, and the Berlinger cut makes it a good movie, actually worth watching. But again, in that respect, you can't really suggest that movie because that's a fan edit that never had an official release. I mean, again, unless you want to rail against me saying that that's not official, but it's not because it never got released on Blu-ray in an official way, which means not everybody has access to it. I would say now that you can go and buy this version of the movie, why would you watch or buy anything else? And on the major torrent website that has the torrent for this movie, I won't say where, won't say what website, the version that they have is the Cry Blue Sky version.
not that we're endorsing these things. Chris is just saying.
I'm not, I'm just saying.
Allegedly.
If you like this, go and buy it. But
Yes.
if you want to watch it to see if you like it, there are ways to go about doing that. And you can watch it on Shudder. It is on Shudder. The theatrical version is on Shudder.
Which is the problem. Yeah, I love that. But there's nothing wrong with informing yourself as a consumer, especially because Blu-rays, and they're not cheap.
It's like $35.
Yeah.
But you do get two movies for the price of one. But I would
It's a
actually contend you really
beautiful-
just get one movie because the
Yeah.
other movie, you're never going to watch it once you've watched the other cut of the movie.
There are some really good supplements.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
there's a commentary, there's all kinds of stuff. But yeah, like
Mhm.
I don't foresee, because I've thought about buying the Blu-ray already. I don't foresee me ever watching the other cut of the movie if I were to own the Blu-ray. Like, what would be it is such an inferior film in every sense of the word. Like, I would never watch it, even though it's only a 2K restoration. It's still a better movie, more
Oh my God.
compelling.
Yeah, and the restoration looks great. Like it's not. I think sometimes people get a little bit baby by like, oh, it's got to be 4K or nothing. It's like, listen, 2K is great. I mean, 4K is. I mean, if you can get it, great. But like the fact that it's just been restored and preserved at all is phenomenal.
Right. And yeah, you can tell the scenes that were clearly cut in that aren't as high quality as the other scenes. But like you said, the fact that we have this at all is more the important part. So not to think that we wouldn't have gotten it when Avery Crowns passed away. But again, to your point, like who knows how his family would have handled any sort of things left over. I'm glad that, yes, the version of this movie was known to exist. That was a director's cut and that Severin got it. And I mean, it's essentially like I think it's like the crown jewel of that folk horror box, isn't it? In terms of like, I think in terms of American folk horror, I think it might be the only movie in that box.
I would say so. Now, granted, I have not watched everything in that box because that box set is a mess. It is a beast.
It's like 17 movies, I'm pretty sure.
It's a lot. I mean, it's glorious. This is not a complaint at all. But yeah, I mean, this is the film. And especially, I think if you're somebody who's wanting to wet your whistle into the land of folk horror, this is a fine start.
I agree. I think that this is a better than fine start as long as you make sure to procure the correct version of the movie. Because not that you won't like it, it just may not, it's not going to hit the same.
Yeah.
You'll have to fill in more of the blanks. And again, not a problem, but it's just not a better. And yes.
The ending.
Oh, God. Yeah, well, yeah, the ending is, the Devil Guard is not great. And yes, the only United States folk horror film in that box is Eyes of Fire. So there you go. I think that speaks volumes as to the importance of this movie in terms of an American entry into folk horror, which I guess folk horror is not really our forte. I guess that's a European thing. Like when I think of folk horror, I do tend to think of European films from the 70s. So,
which is fair, which is
right. Like, I mean, the last folk horror movie I watched was Men, and that came out last year. It's directed by Alex Garland. And it stars Rory Kinnear, and it's set in England. There's something about the UK countryside that lends itself to folk horror.
Yes. This is true, but I'm actually going to stop myself because I could keep going on that. But Eyes of Fire, preferably Cry Blue Sky. Either way, seek this out and give some love in your heart to Avery Crowns, people. Yeah,
this movie is worth checking out. I mean, again, it's worth tracking down. It's worth doing the work to find it. Because again, the version on Shudder is it's just okay. It's not the movie that is worth putting as the crown jewel in your fucking folk horror box. It's $170 and making a big deal out of the fact that you now have it for the first time in ever because it's really never gotten a proper it didn't even get a DVD release. So,
no.
Yeah, they skipped over so much and got us to Blu-ray. But yeah, no, this was a very interesting movie. I enjoyed it a lot. So if this was your pick, which I think it might have been,
I strongly suspect. Thank you. I'm just going to take that credit. It was me, unless somebody, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I would pick it anyways because I absolutely, as you guys have probably guessed, I'm a bit of a fan of this movie. But I'm just a little bit. And I don't know, but Chris, I have you to thank for letting me, if I did, either way, for going with it and coming with me on this journey.
Yeah, no, thank you for picking it. Again, it was a lot of fun, and it was definitely a different kind of movie from what I was watching last week, which was The Other, which was, the TV horror movie, Robert Mulligan.
Oh my God, I need to see that.
Yeah. Robert Mulligan, is that right? Yeah.
I love him.
It's directed. It's great.
The Silver Fox, Robert?
Yeah. I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Based off of
Richard Mulligan. I'm thinking Richard Mulligan. Sorry.
It's based off of a Thomas Tryon book.
I've heard of him. I've not read it.
It's good. It's worth checking out. I won't say anything else. I think it's as good as this movie in terms of like something I'd never seen. That's kind of also hard to find, a little hard to track down because it also is. I don't know. It's also its own kind of thing where it's like I don't know. Like it's one of those things where people really like it and talk about it, but it's one of those things that I don't even think it has a release. Actually, you can just, or maybe it does. I don't remember. I recorded that so long ago. This for me so far in terms of this year. Like this is a genuine thing that I'm glad I watched this. So thank you, Heather.
So it makes my heart so happy. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you. So on that note, we'll take a break and we'll play a preview for the next Kulturecast.
Have you seen the group chat? You're doing it again tonight? No. Please. It's my mom's Remembrance Day. I just want to forget about it.
Who's up?
I'll do it.
Cannot go for more than 90 seconds. Am I clear?
What happens after 90 seconds?
Don't want to stay. Light the candle to open the door. Blow it out to close it. Put your hand on it. Now say, talk to me.
Talk to me.
What did the hand feel like?
It felt amazing. I could see and feel everything on the other side. So my mom, she was trying to reach out. I'm here. Still been saying stuff.
You mean saying stuff?
What if we opened the door but we didn't shut it?
Oh my god, they followed us.
I like it. They're not gonna stop. They're never gonna stop. They like you. Talk to me.
So right on the next Kulturecast, we're going to be talking about a film that came out this year, 2023. I got Mike White to watch a new movie, folks. We're going to be talking about Talk to Me, a movie about trauma monsters
You know, when I
Ouija,
hear,
and Ouija boards.
oh my goodness, when I hear "Talk to Me," all I think about is this song that Ace Frehley sings late on called "Talk to Me." I have a feeling the two are not connected.
No, probably not. Well, I've never heard that song, but I have seen the movie and it doesn't make an appearance. But I will say, spoiler for that episode, not a spoiler for that movie, definitely worth checking out. And I know you're not like always watching new stuff any more than I tend to, but it's definitely worth a watch. In terms of having heard of the movie living up to the hype, I think it lives up to the hype and then some. So
Very cool. I'll have to check it out.
yeah. So on that note, Heather, where can people find you if they want to track you down?
Well, I have a little thing called the link tree. And I don't know why I had to affect an accent because it's so fancy. But you can go to linktree.com /Mondo Heather. And there you will find my website, mondoheather.com, link to my Patreon, which is Mondo Heather, my Twitter, my Instagram, articles, podcasts. I'm on Noise Junkies. I am one of the hosts along with my muchachos, Father Malone at HP, which is also part of the Weirding Way Media. You know, I occasionally get to be on Chris's show. Thank you, Chris, about this in a Bollywood Cinema Club, and occasionally hear me on Projection Booth. Yeah. So, keep
Make
your
the rounds, as it were.
I like to be a little bit of a social butterfly with these things, but yeah, you can find me over there.
And as for me, same place, my same place that you've mentioned, Weirding Way Media. All the things that I work on can be found there. This show, Scary Stories We Tell, Columbo, Barney Miller, the list could go on. I could go on, but you should just go and look at weirdingwaymedia.com because if you haven't already, do it now. This show, Kulturecast.com, Patreon.com, 10, 20, and 50 are the levels you can get in at if you're interested in programming the months or getting access to the bonus episodes that we do. So that's where you can do that. But like, rate, and review the show wherever you get it because that helps out just about as much. Heather, thank you so much for joining me. It's been fun, as always.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And we'll catch you on the next episode.